Hey there folks, today I'd like to take a casual peek into the Green Lantern Classics Star Sapphire Carol Ferris action figure set by Mattel. This is figure number 2 from the second wave of the Green Lantern Classics subline of DC Universe Classics, which also contains the parts to construct a Stell Collect and Connect figure. This set was first available according to the copyright date in 2010, but I don't remember it being available that early. I do remember purchasing this in 2011 when I ordered the entire second wave of the Green Lantern Classic subline for average price per figure about $14 at a store called Toycade, and I'll post a link in the description down below. Taking a look at the Carol Ferris figure here in the packaging, you can see the Star Sapphire member here, and not sure what color. I see on the color spectrum, Roy G. Biv, violet probably. Pretty cool. And down below you can see the part for Stell, which is the left arm. Taking a look here, we have the back of the package with a picture of the figure here, with a nice biography of Carol Ferris there. And we have some statistics. Down below we have the figures from Wave 2. We have Sodom Yacht, Carol Ferris, Gahoo, the 3-pack of Bidge, Dexstar, and Despotellus, not Kaloy or Medfield, depending on which package variant you have, and Scalax or Nightlick, again depending on the packaging variant. And we have here the Collect and Connect figure of Stell. Now we'll be right back and have Carol Ferris here out of the package. Alright, we're back and we have Carol Ferris as Star Sapphire here out of the package, along with the Collect and Connect piece that comes with the figure, and that's the left arm of Stell. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at that first before we look at this figure. And we have here a nice robotic type arm that goes with the Stell character, and it's actually very detailed. I like the Stell figure in general, or at least the parts of it. I haven't put it together obviously, but hopefully once it's together it looks even better, because the individual parts for Stell are very nice, very detailed. A lot of sculpting detail, a lot of paint detail, and it's actually quite nice. I noticed that this particular Collect and Connect piece is the shoulder here doesn't seem like it's pegged all the way into the bicep and tricep area, but I tried pushing it in, and but it doesn't want to go in any further. But comparing it with the right arm, it looks like this one is just up a little higher than the right arm, and also a little bit wiggly on there, so hopefully it's not too bad. You can see some more of the peg here on the inside of the arm, but yeah, hopefully it'll stand up well here. So, but looking at more details, you can see lots of details on this. It's actually quite nice. Paint details, nice metallic green here on the bicep and the tricep area. Metallic silver here on the forearm and hand area, and then you have some different paints, lighter green. Very nice. And also the sculpting detail. You can see the what look like pistons on here, which is pretty cool. And one nice thing about this arm or hand, it's got a hinge joint, which is cool, so you can actually bend that hand in and out. So, but this is the Collect and Connect piece that comes with the Star Sapphire Carol Ferris figure, and that's the left arm of Stell. Now taking a look at Carol Ferris figure here, and I've heard a mixture of opinions about this particular figure, heard and read a mixture of opinions, and was kind of putting off actually taking this figure out of the package because of that. Kind of resistant to wanting to take a look at this figure. And this is the final figure from the wave that I've opened up, and I gotta say that I could see some of the shortcomings with this figure, particularly with the sculpt and some of the paint issues. But overall, I think it's actually a pretty nice figure. The one major thing I've heard about this particular figure, of course, is the retooled torso area. I believe this is the first female figure with this particular type of torso. The previous female figures have the typical hinge torso, and they've gone with this particular type of articulation joint. I don't know if it's because of the costume she's wearing or not, and I don't mind it as much. It doesn't break up the sculpt too much, but it's okay. But let's go ahead and take a look overall the figure first before we get into the details. And you can see it's a nicely sculpted figure, and very female, you could say, compared to some other female figures. And where the previous female figures from the DC Universe Classics line they're just not quite there, and this one here is a little bit better in terms of sculpt. I just noticed that previous females figures are either really too thin at the waist, or very skinny arms, and while this one here is still a little thinnish, but it is, to me, it looks a little bit better, a little bit bigger. Maybe the hands are about the same size, but the arms, maybe it's a perception thing, but I think they look better than previous female figures on here. And I don't know if this sculpt here helps, but previous female figures, especially in the waist area, were very oblong in shape, very thin and narrow, and it gets away in the posing. I don't know if they went with this particular joint to alleviate that particular sculpt, but it's a decent figure here overall. Taking a look here at Carol Ferris's head sculpt, if we can get it into focus here, there we go. And you can see it's very nicely sculpted, very typical of the Four Horsemen female face sculpt. A little flat on the profile here, a very narrow head design, but with the, I don't know if you can call it a mask, but the face dress or head dress does hide a little bit of that, and also the hair sculpt. And taking a look at the hair sculpt, it's actually quite nice. I really like the sculpt of the hair. It does remind me a lot of the Masters of the Universe Classics Catra hair design, where the hair is pulled back and over off the top of the head and drapes down. And you can see the sculpt on that is actually very much like it. You got the individual strands of hair in the sculpt, which is very nice, and also in groups as well, and it's actually quite neat. And if you could see, I'm not sure if my camera is picking it up quite well, but there are highlights of the I guess violet on there, which is nice. It's not the typical blue with darker haired sculpts, and they actually do highlight it with a bit of violet or a very light purple. It's actually pretty nice on there. And one thing I do notice with this figure is a bit of paint slop. It's not quite clean, especially in the areas of the mask or headdress area. There's a little bit of bleed going into the face here and there on the portions of the mask, but overall it's pretty decent. And one thing I noticed in the stores, when I saw the Carol Ferris figures in the stores, the eye applications, are a little wonky on quite a few of them. And this one I ordered online, and so I really had no choice. And this one is pretty decent. One is looking up a little higher than the other on the paint on the eyes, but it's not too bad, especially at certain angles. It's actually quite good. But if you look at it headlong, one eye is a little bit looking up higher than the other. So, but and you can see the paint detail on the lips there. It's a little spotty in parts. I don't know if it's they're trying to do some shading on the edges, but overall okay. Could have done a little bit better. Looking at the rest of the figure here, you can see the collar here. Very high collar. It's made of a softer material. I guess to get around the posing with the hair, but even the hair is a little bit soft. But the combination of the two still impedes a lot of the articulation. And you can see how it bends the collar when you just turn the head slightly. And I really can't even get the head all the way around because of that, so, which is unfortunate. Oh, and you can also see here some sculpted earrings, which is nice on this particular figure here. Taking a look at the costume, the very revealing costume here, typical, I guess, of the female Star Sapphires. Nicely sculpted, but there is paint bleed on the edges of the costume going into the skin there. Which is unfortunate, but not too far off. It's just really on the edges there, or especially on this side here, where there's a bit of bleed there, but not too bad. Otherwise, the rest here is, I believe, the skin is painted, not the torso there. So I guess there's just not enough paint going to the edge of the costume there. And even has a sculpted belly button on there. Pretty cool. And of course the sculpted star pattern here, very interesting place to put that star pattern there. And I forgot to mention there is one on the headdress there, and the paint on this one is not very clean, unfortunately, especially here. It's a little faded in spots, but it's nice that there's two portions here on the side where the skin is painted. That's actually done pretty well on there. And looking down at the legs here, you can see the thigh-high boots that are actually sculpted. And I believe it's, again, the skin that's painted and not the boots. Well, it looks like both the skin and boots, at least on the right where it hits the articulation joint here, but this portion here is painted, while this is not, and you can actually see the grade of color difference. Well, it's hard to tell on the video, but in person, this top portion here, which is painted, is a little bit darker than the lower half of the leg or boots here, which is not painted. It's just cast in the purple plastic there. So in person, you can really see the differences, but on the video screen with the lights, it doesn't look as evident. So. And one thing I noticed about the legs, this was pre-posed with bent leg here. And straightening out the leg, you can see how this left leg here is bending outwards just a little bit. I was trying to determine whether it was an extra left or extra right part here, whether it was this part or the leg or the foot. I really can't tell. It looks like it's the proper left leg parts, but it's just slightly bent outward, which is not too bad, especially when you get her in a walking pose and you put the legs very close together and then you twist it. It's actually a little bit nicer that way with this bent leg in that position, but it would have been nice to have it straight for different poses, but that's something I can fix later on. You can see how it bends outward here and the foot bends inward there, so just a little bit of wonky bending of the plastic here due to I think packaging, because like I said, it was in a bent pose in the packaging. Overall, sculpt and paint, it's really average. Paint is average, but the sculpt is actually pretty nice on here. The articulation for this figure, the head is on a bald pin joint, but because of the hair and the collar, you really cannot get that head. Well, you probably can get it all the way around, but you're really gonna have to pull on it, and you're gonna end up bending the collar and portions of the hair if you do it that way, but I won't. The head does actually move up and down slightly, which is nice with the application of the eyes. If they're looking upwards, you can bend the head downwards. You can almost have that sinister type look to the pose with the eyes on there. The arms do go all the way around, and they do go out and in. The arms go all the way around at the bicep area, and they do bend at the elbow, and the hands go all the way around at the wrist. And there's the nice sculpt of the ring on here, actually kind of cool. And they're both closed fists for the hands. Now the torso here with this newer type for this particular figure, and I believe later on at the Wonder Woman Sapphire figure, it's basically a swivel cut, and you can get it all the way around. Now my only question is why they just did not go with a flat cut here. They curve it here. I don't know if it's because of the costume or not, but it makes the swivel turn a little bit harder to do, instead of if it was a simple straight level swivel cut on there. So it would have been also nice if they actually painted the top of the lower half of this torso flesh colored here as well. That way, if you have it bent slightly, if this was painted the flesh color, it would blend a little bit better on there, but they didn't do that there. The legs are on the non-hinged on the outside of the hips. Allows the leg here to go up, down, and to the back, and out to the out to the side, and you can see the hinge on the inner portion there. And the posts, or the pegs in here going into the lower torso there, were very tight on mine, and the plastic used is very soft, so you really have to, you can see how it bends that joint there. You can see the plastic bending, and you can hear the squeaking as you move it, which is very suspect. I have the Donna Troy figure is the same way, and on my Donna Troy, it's very, very stiff. It's stuck, and it stresses the plastic when you actually bend the leg. On this one, it's okay, a little bit better, but you can still hear how that squeaks when you move that leg there. There is a cut on the thigh, allows the leg to go all the way around. A little tight on that one. The knees do bend about that far back and out. And the ankles do bend down quite a ways, and upwards about that much. Overall, it's a nice figure to have if you're a Lantern fan, to have a Star Sapphire figure. I believe this is the first in the DC Universe Classics or Green Lantern Classics line, which is nice. Just marred by some issues with the articulation and paint on this. So. But overall, I like the figure, and I like it better than what I was hearing and reading. This is my casual peek into the Green Lantern Classics Star Sapphire Carol Ferris action figure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.